leading think tank laboratory, buried deep in an undisclosed building in hostile territory where evil and corruption is exposed. You're about to enter the Tom Trento Show.
All hands back at battle station.
Tom Trento heads United West, a group that says it defends Western civilization against the onslaught of Islam.
And don't smoke any cigars like in that picture, okay? The fake cigars, it's an electronic cigar, fake smoke, fake everything. Hey, Tuesday, the 13th August, hello everybody. What I'd like to do to get started today is to give you a little behind-the-scenes look at professional broadcasting, okay? Little behind-the-scenes look.
Are we leaving the studio?
Are we going on a class
Are we going on a
trip?
road
Are we going on a field trip?
Wise guys. Show the wise guy. Well, yeah, there's the other wise
Let's
guy.
show the wise guy. Hi, guys.
We're gonna. I wanted to bring you in on a look. These are our friends out there. Apart from all the people that hate us, that watch us, and we do have those folks. They
I
don't
know.
like
Oh,
us.
I know.
plenty,
Well,
let me
you know
tell
you're
you.
getting successful when you have a lot of people who hate what you're doing.
I can tell you hundreds locally.
I have some of these Muslim folks that just write me all these nasty letters. Your show, it's this, it's that. What are you? Don't
Well, then
watch
why
it.
are you
You're
watching?
it. Right? You should be off the air. But in any event, I wanted to give you, because most of you out there on TrentoVision.tv, on WNN 1470, the flagship station of our radio broadcasting out of Boca Raton, Florida. Tea Party Community, hello, teapartycommunity.com. Most of you out there are our friends, and we'd like to every once in a while bring you behind the scenes to show you how broadcast sausage is made. One of the critically important for all you neophyte or up-and-coming broadcast journalists, whether it's visually or through the written word, one of the important elements of good communication is a segue. Okay, a segue. Not the little thing that you ride around like we did in Savannah a couple of weeks ago, which you got to put on your bucket list. Go on a segue tour. It's great. But the movement from one body of information to the next. So CJ, just before he came on the air, said, "What's the plan for the segue?" I said, "I have no idea. We'll come up with something."
That's right.
And as I thought about a segue, I said, "Why don't we discuss a segue?"
Oh.
How's that?
Wow, what a cool broadcasting trick.
See? So now we've segued from yesterday to today.
And what was yesterday?
It doesn't matter. We've segued. It's in the past.
Oh,
We're now
okay.
in the present.
We're now in today.
Yes. See
so
how
what
that
we
works?
did yesterday doesn't count anymore.
Doesn't count.
Unless
Only-
you want to go to the archives.
Unless you want to go to the archives. How would they do that if they wanted to do that?
Well, Tom, they could go to youtube.com/theunitedwest, and there's cute little icons that you can just click on, and you can play whatever shows you like.
And the way we've done it, we got to educate the viewers. When you see TrentoVision and a date, that's one of our shows. When you see another title without the TrentoVision and the date, that's one of our videos, because we do investigative reporting, we do stories, just general stories. We cut pieces out of our shows. But to give you continuity in identifying our shows, it'll say TrentoVision dash the date 8/12/13, yesterday's date. And then it'll have a title. Yesterday's title was Manic Monday, and we discussed some of the insanity globally in the world over the weekend. Then we went into Putin and Obama. And then we had Roger Gangitano here. For tonight, he has that meeting.
Right.
So we'll get a report tomorrow on that, where CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations, is trying to shut him down because he rents a county municipal little room for his Act for America presentations monthly. So that was
Right.
yesterday. Today, what do we got for the good folks today?
What we have today is, oh my gosh, we have Muslim bimbo chicks selling great Islam. Now you know that I didn't have a hand in putting that together.
It is a cool video, though, I got to admit.
But it's really fun to work with you guys, I must say. And
What's the next one?
and we have an imam calling wrath upon the Jews.
Ooh, I like that.
Well, you know what? It's just so common, though.
Yeah,
I
what's
don't
the
know.
big
Why
deal?
don't we just have a... Can you find a video of an imam calling not for a wrath upon the Jews? And that would really be news.
Speaking of
And,
wrath upon the Jews,
yeah.
Netanyahu's a little upset with Mr. Kerry, John Kerry, and the ongoing efforts for peace in the Middle East, peace in our time. He told Kerry, he goes, how am I, and I'm paraphrasing, New Jersey paraphrase of Diplo speak.
Can you check my sound? Is my sound good?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
I hear you. Netanyahu told Kerry, how the hell are we going to have peace with the PA, the Palestinian Authority, and their subset Hamas, when the authority through Mahmoud Abbas has events and brings people in and explains to the people he's bringing in that there is no Israel, that he doesn't refer to Israel, he refers to the West
Zionist
Bank.
entity.
Yeah, and he's teaching the next generation that there is no state known as Israel. How are we going to have peace with this
Right.
guy?
I mean, if you look at their textbooks, there's no
yeah, that's-
Israel on the map. But why would Netanyahu expect logic from a leftist like John Kerry?
Maybe because the medication from his emergency herniectomy hasn't worn off. Who knows? They had to pull Netanyahu in very quickly. Did you see that?
This is the worldwide double standard against Israelis and Jews.
Yeah.
And what is the problem?
Nobody else in the world would be expected to put up with and accommodate the behavior of the Palestinians and give up their own security, their own land, their own money. Don't forget, these Palestinians are all subsidized by the Israelis.
And you.
Free electric, water. Look at all the humanitarian supplies that go across the border every day from Israel into Hamas-stan, Gaza. Why?
Oh, Abdullah, that's a good question. If the end result of the ongoing peace talks in Washington, D.C. right now between the U.S. State Department and officials from the PA, the Palestinian Authority, if 6 months from now agreement is reached, you could have the West Bank, you could have Gaza, all Jews will be out of the West Bank, which is insane.
Yeah.
But let's say that happens.
But all Palestinians don't have to leave Israel.
No,
In
they can
fact,
certainly
it's a
not.
More
requirement that
can
they
come
keep
in.
their border open
Yep.
for all Palestinians who actually want to work in Israel because they don't have their acts together in their own territory to put people in employable positions.
Would you be happy then?
It is a good midterm. It is a good process. It is a milestone, shall we say. It would be a milestone to the complete annihilation of your Zionist entity.
there you
And
go.
and the milestone, folks, very important stuff here on TrentoVision, the United West. We know that Syed Qutb, he's dead now, but an Egyptian scholar, leading thinker, wrote the book Milestones and simply said the implementation of Islam on a global scale to reign supreme is not done overnight. There are these big milestones, these
that
big
you
steps.
reach. Yeah,
And you have to wear down your host nation,
that's right.
and then you've reached a milestone. And if you
Yeah.
wear down enough host nations in the
Yeah,
world,
like they're doing now.
you get a third caliphate, the reestablishment of the third caliphate, the seat for global Islamic control.
It's kind of like the
And-
Third Reich of Islam.
It's kind of close. So that's the goal of every Muslim. Every Muslim wants the establishment of the caliphate, then Sharia law through jihad if necessary. If you disagree with that, by definition, you're not a Muslim.
According to Islam itself, not
According to Islam
us.
itself.
But of course, the State Department would tell you that's incorrect.
Oh, no, yeah, of course. You can be a great Muslim and not follow any of the teachings of Islam.
That's right.
That's how crazy this is.
Yeah,
Well, if
yeah.
you want to learn about Islam, we have the perfect video because Islam is pretty. Islam is blonde.
Right.
Islam is out there. Islam
Audacious.
is songy. Islam, well, you take a look at this piece of promotional film on Islam.
Islam is the religion of peace and security because
Islam encourages
love,
brotherhood,
compassion,
affection,
justice,
forgiveness,
sincerity, and good moral values,
Islam encourages
science,
art,
high quality.
modernity, and technological progress,
Islam encourages
nobility,
joy,
peace, civilized behavior,
cleanliness, and
careful grooming,
Islam encourages
democracy, unity, and solidarity,
and encourages people to oppose superstition.
to have healthy minds, and
to reflect deeply,
Islam
teaches people to love Allah with passion,
to love women,
children, plants,
all living beings.
Plants.
and all of creation.
Islam encourages
An intellectual struggle against
Such perverse ideologies as
Darwinism,
materialism,
atheism.
Stalinism, and Leninism,
communism and fascism.
İslam dünyansız terrorism,
anarchy,
wars,
and all forms of killing and wickedness. Islam encourages respect for all faiths, beliefs, and opinions because there is no compulsion or force in Islam.
Yikes.
It looks like a new Fox sitcom.
It does.
They're all
I
blonde.
believe.
Do you see that?
I
They're like all
believe.
blonde.
Which one's the Bachelor?
I believe. You have to watch this. All of you driving in your automobiles on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon, 13 August, 13 minutes after 5 p.m. on the East Coast. Hi, Tom Trento. How's everybody doing? We just showed a 2-minute promotional video on the wonders and majesty and simple. I don't know. I'm at a loss for
Is
words.
today April 1st?
Yes, it's April 1st somewhere on the planet because that was a mouthful, an eyeful.
Was there anything Islamic about any of the people or what they said in that video?
They hired a bunch of Ukrainians.
Yeah, don't they look like Ukrainians?
You folks have to watch this. Go home and go to youtube.com/theunitedwest. Go to our archives. It'll say TrentoVision 81313, and you got to watch this video. I was looking at it, and you could take. Here's what I want to
And
do.
the guys look like they should be on the cover of like
GQ or
Harlequin
something.
romances
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
something
yeah, yeah.
like that.
Playgirl.
We're gonna
What's
take
that?
Playgirl.
Oh, okay. Well,
the.
he's got a whole different reading and
I know,
viewing
it's- yeah,
list
that's
than
the-
I do.
That's testosterone versus estrogen. That's how that works. We're going to take that video. It's about a 2-minute video, and we're going to take it on an iPad, and we're going to go man on the street it,
Oh, cool.
and let people look at that, and then comment on it.
Right.
What do you think if we hit 10 random people in a nice little Florida community, and we said, what do you think about Islam after seeing this? What do you think
Five
they're gonna
guys
say?
would convert immediately.
They would convert. They go, dude, I didn't know Islam had
I
chicks
didn't know
like
they
that.
looked like that.
But what do you think the average American's response if we said, what do you think about Islam after this?
I don't think they're going to have a response to it. I think they're going to ask you, what does this have to do with Islam?
They just told you all this stuff, this wonderful Islam is love. Islam is against terrorism, against Darwinism, against Leninism.
Nobody's going to remember that.
Why?
Why? Because all they're going to remember is like
These Amazon bimbettes.
You know, the blonde hair, the way too much plastic surgery, everywhere.
Mike, roll
Like,
it
boobs
with
out
no
to
audio
here.
as I explain something. This is a
That's the only thing you remember about it.
This is a promotional piece it's a propaganda piece about Islam being a religion of peace and a religion for all people, all places, all times. It's out of Turkey, and it is by Adnan Oktar, Adnan Oktar on channel A9 in Turkey. He has amassed a fortune, and he has taken about a dozen women and turned them into basically Playboy
Islamic
bunnies.
Barbies.
Yeah, Islamic Barbie, Playboy Barbies.
Uh-huh.
All big lips, big eyes, big breasts, big everything. And he trains them. I've actually heard them do interviews. You can go to A9, and they're reading a prompter, some of them, but some of them can actually carry on a conversation about some of the issues.
Some of them can actually carry on a conversation.
But what he
I
has
don't
done,
believe that.
the reason why we're bringing this up, apart from the humor in this bizarre little video, which does look like a new Fox series, The Islamic Bachelorette, you know. It'd be interesting to match the statements with the city to see if there's any symbolism there, because you have to pick those elements.
Right.
But for the record, Adnan, A-D-N-O-N-A-N, if you can find his picture, A-D-N-A-N, Oktar, O-K-T-A-R, he has assembled this group of beautiful, what would you call them, beautiful?
No.
No, I wouldn't, but
made
they're
up.
not my type.
But
They're
how
not
is,
Damon's type either.
Not my type.
they're like
No.
Hollywood stars.
They don't look like real people.
No. He's put this group of women together, and these very handsome men, and he has set the women loose on liberal Jewish businessmen.
From where?
I
in
haven't
Israel,
been notified
in
of
Israel,
this yet.
Oh, in Israel.
and in the Middle East, and
Israel and the Middle East? There are no Jews in the Middle East, only in Israel.
where Jewish businesses are.
That would be Israel.
And they are helping lead some sort of bridge in the business world to Jewish men, Jewish businesses in an interfaith effort to bring world peace.
Oh, like KGB swans.
Yeah. Exactly. And it has come to my attention through some folks saying, you need to take a look at Adnan Oktar and his influence operations targeting the Jewish community. Do we have his picture? Because he is he's a slick-looking dude, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah.
If you had a cast, central casting for Diabolus, you wanted Satan himself to be, but a slick. Armani said,
Oh
look
my
at him, there
gosh,
he is. There
you're
he is.
right.
You know?
Xanadu.
Does he look Vegas or what?
Yep.
He looks like he should have a magic act with tigers and play the piano at the same time.
He has written. Well, and what he's done,
cow.
he's taken a lot of conservative themes and written thousands of pages and scores of books on creationism and anti-communism and all of this. So there's a basic appeal to a conservative. Then he throws these bimbos out there, very sexually oriented bimbos. And then he's got tons of money, and he opens these entities for interfaith work, and it's just a beautiful trap.
But what does that have to do with their businesses?
Who knows? We're looking into.
Who knows? It's men we're talking about.
To get control. He's looking to get control of influential people.
He's running a spiritual red light district.
Yeah, in a sense. Now, conversely, whereas this is Islam propaganda in a intelligence and influential manner.
Yeah, but wait a minute. You couldn't show that. You wouldn't show that in the United States because the Muslim groups in the United States would be opposed to it. It would be offensive to them, wouldn't it?
Why don't we do that? Why don't we put that out there?
Yeah, why don't we go to mosques or Islamic centers and show the video and ask
Say what
them
you
what
think.
do they think about this is how Islam is being
There is
promoted.
I can tell you that this would
Okay.
never fly. This would never ever,
How about the
ever
copy?
fly.
How about the content?
The content is no good. You cannot show women like this. The wearers the hijab or the burqa. This is not Islamic behavior. This man might be claiming to be doing things in defense of Islam, but he is what he's doing is dirtying Islam with this. If he is trying to penetrate the Zionist wealth and trying to make harm to the Zionist backers, that would fall under the taqiyya.
Right.
And so what he is doing could be forgiven. He could eventually go and have his 72 virgins. But if he is not doing this,
I think he's not waiting for that right now.
well, he is not getting virgins, my friend. But if he is doing this in the furtherance of Islam, it is
Right.
one thing. But the content is certainly not Islamic.
All right, well, keep your
And-
eyes open,
Yeah.
your ears open for Adnan, Adnan, Oktar, Akhtar. We're going to be looking into this guy.
Okay.
There's other
But
people.
also,
Wow.
in the second half of today's show, along this theme, we're going to have part 2 of our interview with Ilya from Americans for Peace and Tolerance, who's going to talk to us about the Boston bombing,
Yep.
and also the film Losing Our Sons, and jihadi recruitment and influence operations in the United States. So it's a perfect segue.
Perfect setup. Perfect segue.
He's ready whenever you
And
want.
it's even better because Ilya and Charles with Americans for Peace and Tolerance out of Boston, they have done and been involved with folks in Tennessee. Let's take a little trip right now. I don't think can Ilya hear? I think he can hear this,
I
right?
think he can hear you. Yep.
All right,
He shakes his head, yeah.
Okay, you listen carefully. We're going to go visit a little imam in Tennessee and ask him to share his kind and sensitive thoughts toward folks that happen to be Jewish.
As for 80 to 90% of the Jews in our times, they are Ashkenazis, i.e. Khazar, i.e. Russians, Turco-Russians. Look at them. White, crooked nose, blonde hairs. This is not the descendants of Yaqub. These are not a Semitic people. Look at them. They don't look like Semites. And they are not Semites. The majority of Jews in our times, 80 to 90%, and especially the Jews in Eastern Europe, almost 100% of them. All of these Polish Jews that Hitler was supposedly trying to exterminate, that's another point, by the way. Hitler never intended to mass destroy the Jews. There are a number of books out written by Christians on this. You should read them. The Hoax of the Holocaust. I advise you to read this book. You want to write this down. The Hoax of the Holocaust. A very good book. All of this is false propaganda. And I know it sounds so far-fetched in these theories, but read it. The evidences are very strong. And they're talking about newspaper articles, clippings, everything, and look up yourself what Hitler really wanted to. That's just, we're not defending Hitler, by the way, but what the Jews, the way that they portray him, also is not correct. Al-Muhim, majority of the Jews of our times are Khazars, Ashkenazis, and not Sephardic Jews. I mean, most of the Jews in our times are not Bani Israel. And we have to study this. We have to read up about this, and really it is a very
What's this
interesting
guy's
thing,
name?
especially for the du'at and the people who are calling, and especially those that are involved in, the matters of, calling the Muslims and warning them about the dangers.
He's
of
an
society.
imam in
Look at how
Tennessee.
effectively
He's ranting and
this type of
raving.
information has been kept from us. And it is there in the books.
What is
Dr.
this guy
said,
doing
Go
in
to Encyclopedia
Tennessee?
Britannica. It's there. Go to Encyclopedia Judaica. It's there. Look up Sephardic.
All right, so he
look up
goes on and
Ashkenazi,
on. We
and
can
see what
forget
the-
about him.
So he's
I'm not
on
making
his
this off the
rant
top of my
about
head.
the Jews
But how many
being
Muslims know about this?
satanic and
Yeah, he just has nothing good to say about Jewish people, and
We're not defending Hitler, but we're not defending
yeah,
Hitler.
exactly. And
Right.
he is disparaging
Yasser
Jews.
Qadi,
Yeah, and what part of Tennessee does it say right there?
Memphis.
Out of Memphis area, young guy, but this is what's being propagated on college campuses. We just did a FOIA request for all the Islamic activity on 13 campuses. The United West did this
Right.
in the state of Florida. I got one of them 2 days ago, and Siraj Wahhaj, the great Islamic benevolent leader.
Chris Christie's friend.
Yeah, honorarium on every one of these places he goes to, $1,200, $1,000. He doesn't go like we do and go share stuff and at our own expenses. He's getting a payday, and this is one of the kind of people that are inviting these folks on. So the campuses are a hotbed. But let's go from Tennessee to Boston. Welcome our friend Ilya. Are you with us, Ilya?
I am.
All right.
Hey,
howdy,
hi.
howdy, howdy.
Oh, he looks good.
Hi.
Yes, he always looks good.
I just want to name some names because what's outrageous about Yasser Qadi is that every single rabbi in Nashville, Tennessee is working with him on immigration reform. And are co-signing letters to public officials, basically lending their names and their credibility to this vicious anti-Semite, and that includes Rabbi Lori Rice, Philip Rice, Cleo Rose, and Rabbi Mark Shipton of Nashville's largest synagogue.
Oh my goodness!
All
Are
right.
these reform rabbis?
Yeah, you have to explain that.
These are reform. Well, Cleo Rose is a conservative rabbi. He was featured in our film, Losing Our Sons.
Right.
He's the crazy guy who compared the Tennessee legislators to the Germans who did the Holocaust, which apparently, according to his friend Yasser Qadi, never happened.
Right. Oh my goodness.
Well, Ilya.
But no Orthodox rabbis sign on for this.
No Orthodox rabbis, right?
One Orthodox rabbi, I'm not going to mention his name.
Oh, okay. You'll tell me later?
Can you see us?
Did you see me wink
Yeah.
at you?
Okay, we have that on. All right, hi everybody. 27 minutes after 5 o'clock on the East Coast on the 13th August, Tuesday. Thanks for joining with us. Myself, CJ, we have Mike and Abdullah, Imam Abdullah, and Damon is back there too. Hi, Abdullah, how are you?
Oh, most excellent. I'm glad that you do not have the two extra Islamophobes in the studio with you today.
That's right.
Oh,
You're only
yesterday's show?
Skyping one extra in.
What do you remember, Ilya from Boston?
Oh, very much so.
And what do you remember?
Your typical standard Trento Islamophobe guest.
Okay, well that's what we do here. But our purpose now for the rest of this show, folks, is part 2 of the Boston bombing. But we came across this piece of video of this imam, and all of this stuff is interrelated.
That's right.
When you see an imam like this spouting off, and then Ilya, we work quite a bit. CJ's Jewish, I'm a Christian. We work quite a bit with the Jewish community, but the observant Jewish community, those on the left in the Jewish community and in the Christian community, they don't like what we do. They're opposed to us. They fight us. Your experiences in Boston and in Tennessee, what's going through the heads of these rabbis to hook up with a guy like this that is hoping for their future destruction?
Some of them are completely delusional and really refuse to believe that somebody could be so malevolent. It's a very strange concept to them. They were born and raised in a liberal environment where people basically believe in reciprocity and a positive sum game. And when they're confronted with someone like that, they just don't know what to do. Some of them are appeasers. I mean, we've had rabbis during the Holocaust rabbis and leaders who, until the very last moment, thought that they could appease the Nazis. The head of the Lodz ghetto, for example, in Poland is a really important example, who actually bargained with the Nazis to give away the ghetto's children in exchange for the rest of the ghetto being allowed to stay. So he actually got in front of the ghetto and said, I have bought our freedom with the price of these children. It was a hard price to pay, but we had to do what we had to do.
I read a book called, this was many years ago, called The Diary of the Lodz Ghetto. And it's really, really long. It's like 1,500 pages or something like that. And it was like a day-by-day chronicle of what happened there over a several-year period of time. And Ilya's absolutely right what he's talking about. And it was scary because you read page after page, there's like discussions and negotiations amongst these Jewish leaders about whether to do what Ilya just illustrated or not, and how they rationalized it to themselves.
As much as we jump back for historic analogies, and sometimes we mistakenly miss that the world was different. They were in a unique situation. They didn't have iPhones and all of this to communicate, and you can't excuse that because that's just on its face completely absurd. But in today's economy, where any one of these rabbis could Google the guy's name and listen to this, it's inexcusable. Inexcusable.
Here's
I
the
heard.
kicker. Here's the kicker. Yasser Qadi was concerned about this video, concerned enough that in 2009 he filed a copyright complaint against us for posting it, and we only recently basically filed a countersuit. Sorry, not countersuit, but a counterclaim that was basically "screw you, sue us," and we had it restored.
You guys do really good work.
He realized that this was going to be a problem for his agenda, and in 2010 he got some national rabbis who committed an outrageous act in doing this. They took him to Auschwitz, where he pretended to be apologetic and say, "Oh, I no longer believe
I heard
it,"
about this.
and basically was able to sort of cleanse this off himself with the ashes of 1 million dead Jews. And the Jewish leaders who aided and abetted him are really responsible for a very, very outrageous distortion of this man's history.
Ilya, you just answered a question for us in the last minute. When you hit on the word agenda, okay? The fact is that the reason why this imam or anyone like him is able to make a grand bargain with the Jews is because the Jews that are making this grand bargain care more about their political or philosophical agenda than they do about the security and well-being of the Jewish people. And if this guy says, I'm with you on immigration as a leftist, and this is, we want open borders and we have to be for peace and justice and let all people from anywhere in the world come to this great country and help them get on their feet. And ideologically, politically, philosophically, that's really what these rabbis as individual human beings care about, then they're willing to overlook the truth of what it is that he is and what it is that he stands for, because Judaism is not what they're about.
No.
Period. They're willing to put not just their own, what should be their own values, but they're willing to put the lives and security of the Jewish people on the shelf in the furtherance of their own political agenda.
It's shocking to me because there are 12, 13, 14 million Jewish people in the world. We have more people in Florida than there are Jewish people worldwide. We have 19 million people in Florida.
Takbir!
And the data that I have seen is 500,000 to 1 million of these 12 million are seriously observant Orthodox Jewish people that are following Torah, trying to follow the law, and trying to live out Judaism as they understand it. And then the conservatives and Reformed have adopted more of a political agenda than a theological agenda that fits into the nation of Israel.
Yeah.
Interesting. But that's another subject.
To segue into the issue of losing our sons, my synagogue actually is going to be showing this film,
Losing Our Sons?
at the end of the month. And that's my segue. So I'm very
That's
happy
good.
to have you
Good
on the show. And it
segue.
was our rabbi who chose to show it because he thinks it's such an important subject.
I don't believe it.
That the congregation needs to be informed and aware. So,
well,
Ilya,
you should be a speaker for that. No, I mean, they're going to need somebody to moderate the thing.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
I
don't know about that.
Well, let me
Maybe
get everybody
Ilya
up to
could
speed.
come.
36 minutes. 36 minutes after 5 o'clock on 13 August.
That's my segue between
we have Ilya back with
Judaism
us.
and losing our sons.
We have Ilya back
See
with
that?
us, and with Charles Jacobs, Americans for Peace and Tolerance. The website is peaceandtolerance.org.
We're having a little bit
in our
of
live
audio
show. There
trouble.
I think it's okay now. A couple of weeks ago, we had Ilya on, and he gave us the timeline from 9/11, 2001, 9/11, 2001, with these guys working in Boston, up through their lawsuit with the Islamic Society of Boston, and we got into 2009, where this project, Losing Our Sons, was launched. Let's pick up with Losing Our Sons, Ilya. You're over here, Ilya. And I want you to take us from there to the bombing, and the bombing to the present.
Well, Losing Our Sons has to deal with the first Al-Qaeda terrorist attack on U.S. soil since 9/11. Not many people have heard about it because there were very few press reports at the time, and the Obama administration, as it did with Fort Hood, classified this as a simple murder with no ideological agenda.
Drive-by shooting.
I mean, Fort Hood case, it was considered workplace violence. In the case of the Little Rock Recruitment Center shooting, it was considered a drive-by shooting, just a regular criminal act. What happened was a U.S. soldier was killed.
You
guys
keep
hear me?
going. You keep going.
Yeah.
We're listening to you.
A U.S. soldier was killed by a young man named Carlos Bledsoe, who changed his name to Abdul Hakim Muhammad. This young man grew up in a Baptist family, successful Baptist family. His father is a tour operator in Memphis, has a nice tour company. And he sent his son to Nashville to study business to a university, which is where he was basically recruited and brainwashed by members of some of the major mosques in Nashville. And Losing Our Sons tells the story basically of what happened to Carlos in Nashville. We trace which mosques he went to. We trace which individuals he listened to, which imams sent him then to Yemen to train with Al-Qaeda, what happened to him in Yemen, and how after he came back, the U.S. government failed to prevent the murder.
And the U.S. government was aware of the fact that he had been recruited in Tennessee and that he was sent to Yemen and trained by Al-Qaeda and then came back. So it wasn't like the government didn't know that they had a ticking time bomb on their
This sounds so much like
hands.
Boston. Hang on, Ilya. We're going to show the 2-minute trailer for our viewers and our listeners at 40 minutes past 5 o'clock. To our automobile listeners driving all over South Florida, you're going to listen to a 2-minute trailer of a phenomenal documentary, the first Al-Qaeda attack on American soil, Nashville, Tennessee. Very, very similar in many of its octopi tentacle reaches to what occurred in Boston, and we'll make those
this
those
was from the
comparisons.
Little Rock shooting.
But take a look at the film that Ilya and Charles Jacobs and a few others put together. Good little video of a very important trailer, very important film. Here we go.
Shots rang out at this Little Rock shopping center.
Where he killed one soldier.
And he's been shot. It was outside that did this.
Born Carlos Bledsoe, but converted to Islam and changed his name to Abdul Hakim Muhammad.
He got involved going to a mosque.
This country will not be the richest country on earth because it is the worst country on earth.
He was young and impressionable. He spent 16 months in Yemen. Way up in the mountains, he was being manipulated. all along.
We're speaking because our country needs to hear the truth.
Tell the country what happened to my son.
You couldn't get the Secretary of Homeland Security to speak the word terror for the first 2.5 years she was in office.
They want to get tied up in some world of political correctness.
Attorney General that doesn't even think that the word terror is in the dictionary.
Because jihad is a holy struggle.
The Department of Defense is still not prepared to call the enemy what it is.
We're worried about stepping on our toes, and they're talking about stamping us out.
The media is engaged in self-censorship.
Major Nidal Hassan was able to openly praise Little Rock shootings. My faith in government is diminished.
Well, I think these anecdotes are interesting. I don't believe these are experts.
What you both have gone through is interesting, the word you'd use to describe it.
I have a hole in my heart for the family of the victim.
Mr. Bledsoe and his family are as much victims in this as we are.
This is not the son we raised.
Do I deem Islamic justified?
This is Abdul Hakim.
I don't think it was murder.
Hope that the world can hear me.
We will not be silent again.
The truth needs to be told.
As long as this country doesn't recognize what's going on, as long as they turn a blind eye to it, when it's just out there to see, I can't bury my son.
And that was Darius Long who said, I can't bury my son. And the story, Losing Our Sons, deals with the two fathers, one whose son became a jihadi, Carlos Bledsoe, and one whose son, Andy Long, became a U.S. Army soldier. Bledsoe, under the name of a Muslim name, kills Long. What we want to get into Boston, but this movie is so compelling.
And especially now with the Fort Hood trial going on, people need to remember this, and they need to learn it or relearn it. Folks, if you're watching this show or listening to this show, if you go to losingourSons.com,
I think. Yeah, losingourSons.com.
You can get this film. You can get
Order
a copy
it,
of
for
this
sure.
film. You need to order it. You need to watch it. You need to show it to your friends, neighbors, families. Show it at your church. Show it at your synagogue. People need to know about this. People need to see the stories of the sons and the fathers and the insane political establishment that refuses to acknowledge this horrific act of jihad on the soil of the United States and how it really, really threatens us and puts us in danger. This guy was targeted and recruited. We talked in our last interview with Ilya about the circles within the circles at the mosque. Okay, and how the recruitment process happens. Well, Carlos was just a young university student, looking to discover himself. Well, the mosque discovered him and drew him in.
Yep.
Closer and closer and closer.
And we
to
don't
the inner
we don't use
circles.
the nonsensical term of self-radicalization. We use the fact that here's a guy who got serious about the doctrine of Islam and wanted to live it out.
He took it to its logical conclusion.
Yeah, very, very simple. Ilya, what are the comparisons? So go to losingourSons.com.
Please do.
What are the and order the tape, folks. What are the comparisons between what occurred in Little Rock and what occurred now in Boston, April 15th, 2013? Take us to that situation.
I think the major similarity is both Carlos and the Tsarnaev brothers were very normal individuals before they came across Islam. I mean, the Tsarnaev brothers come from a Muslim background, but they were completely secular when they got to the United States. And this is what a lot of people have tried to seize on to obfuscate the situation that, they're from Chechnya, they were crazy, they met some crazy people in Chechnya. No, they were completely normal kids. Carlos Bledsoe liked to listen to hip-hop music. The younger Tsarnaev liked to listen to hip-hop music. Both of them did the usual teenager things. Danced with girls, messed around with girls, smoked a little pot, all these things. And
classic American adolescence.
Yeah, American Pie type stuff.
Yeah.
Very, very normal kids until they got involved with Islam at their local mosque. Both of them started attending a mosque, and called the Tsarnaev brothers. Both of them started attending local mosques, started getting into more and more intense religion, and in both cases, people around them didn't know what to look for in terms of radicalization. As Carlos's father Melvin says, I wish we knew these sort of signs. Carlos took all the pictures off the room, off the walls of his room, including Martin Luther King. And he said that, you can't have pictures in the walls, and Martin Luther King is not someone that we should be worshiping because he is a non-Muslim. The older Tsarnaev had an outburst in his mosque where he objected to celebrating American holidays like Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Again, because Martin Luther King was an infidel.
Right.
These are the kinds of things to look for, and because people aren't being educated by the media and the government, because all this kind of information is being silenced, people don't know what to look for, and signs are missed. Even the FBI missed those signs.
Well, it's not like they were signs that were missed. They had all the information. They had the documentation. They had letters. They had pictures. They had interviews with family members. They had passport information that they could corroborate, and they refused to act on it. That's different. It's not like they missed it. It's that they saw it and dismissed it.
This is the FBI.
Yeah, that's that's what I'm not getting.
Well, the last part one of our two-part series with Ilya, you guys, if I'm not mistaken, you and Charles and your team, you put a dossier together on the Islamic Society of Boston,
right?
Which had what, 2 mosques, one in Cambridge and one in Roxbury. You handed that information over, and what did the dossier say?
The dossier said that these were Muslim Brotherhood mosques that had their tentacles in pretty much every Muslim student organization and area campuses, lots of satellite mosques, businesses, etc. in the Boston area that were up to no good. There were Muslim Brotherhood-dominated mosques. Many of its members have had ties to terrorism, including terrorism convictions, including its top leader, Abdul Rahman al-Amoudi, the founder of the mosque, who was put away for raising money for al-Qaeda. All of these things, we had financial transactions with terrorist entities. We had evidence of potential money laundering. We had extremist statements by their imams and connections to various terror organizations abroad, including the Pakistani group which carried out the Mumbai massacre. So there was a lot. There was about 2 to 3 hours worth of briefing that we did with them, and then handed over this huge PowerPoint.
Now let's get a timeline here. You handed all that over circa when?
2009.
Okay, 2009. Before or after, but it would be irrelevant, the time in which the FBI was looking into the Tsarnaev brothers through some Chechnyan intelligence.
That was
before.
So you put the FBI on alert before they spooled up on the brothers.
Yeah.
And the brothers went to these mosques.
To the Cambridge Mosque, as far as we know.
Okay.
Look, it was very easy for them to, if they had made the connection, and we believe that the thing went straight to trash or somebody's drawer, because FBI Director Mueller certainly hasn't heard that the mosque was founded by an al-Qaeda member he helped put away back in 2003. So wherever it went, it didn't go to the top. All they had to do really was to say, look, this is a problematic mosque. Let's keep an eye out on it. Let's place somebody in there. And once Tsarnaev had his outburst, and once, as the Wall Street Journal has recently been reporting, that Tsarnaevs actually went there quite a lot and actually brought in one of their buddies who was a conspiracy theorist, a white guy conspiracy theorist, who they converted to Islam, and who apparently was willing to talk about how the Jews are behind everything bad in the world, to any mosque member who listened, according to these reports, it'd be pretty easy to, make a note about this guy. Right. And once there's a unsolved murder in Somerville, suburb of Boston,
that's right,
which involved a ritual murder in a ritual Islamic way, strike their necks. They were almost beheaded. Of 3 men, 2 of them were Jewish, a very strange ritual murder. Once they were able to look at their phone logs.
Yeah, 9/11 last year.
2 years ago.
Yeah. On 9/11 2 years ago.
2 years ago. It's 52 minutes.
They could have made the connection.
Yeah.
It's 52 minutes after 5 o'clock on the 13th Tuesday. Just a few minutes left.
Where does the time go?
I know. Just a few minutes left.
I love your Islamophobe.
With Ilya, and we're laying out a bizarre conflagration of events that went nowhere. Ilya and Charles hand over a dossier on the malevolent and historically bad DNA of the Islamic Society of Boston to the FBI. We're not talking about Podunk, Idaho FBI satellite office. We're talking about Boston, Massachusetts FBI major regional office, where there's a lot of hardware, a lot of people, a lot of activity, and there's 2 gigantic, the Islamic Center, but this is almost unbelievable they missed it.
I think there's a reason why maybe there wasn't a lot of cooperation, and it has to do with that civil rights group that we talk about a lot of times, and they had a particular campaign.
Oh, you mean the little ad you have, the poster on our screen right now on TrentoVision.tv from CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations. They have a campaign. Here's one of their posters. Build a wall of resistance. Don't talk to the FBI. So that's CARE's campaign. Yes, that's very possible that was going on in the Islamic community, but notwithstanding
several days after the bombings, the mosque sent out an email. Tsarnaev's mosque sent out an email to all its members that we intercepted. We heard that the FBI is canvassing our members. Call a lawyer. Don't talk to them.
You got to be kidding.
No,
we want to help, but we want to protect ourselves as well.
Right. I read this off the CARE website a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about CARE on the show, and I said there's a whole legal section in that emergency how to protect yourself as a Muslim section.
Yeah.
There's a whole legal section about how to interact, which is don't interact with the police or government authorities, and I can't tell you how many times when you're reading it that you go through it and it says call a lawyer and don't do this, and remember that your rights are you don't have to talk to anybody, you don't have to let them in your home, you don't have to let them in your business, don't talk to them unless you have a lawyer, be polite but don't do anything to cooperate.
Yeah, this is what we tell all of our folks too. When we do our seminars, forget about the FBI. We don't want nothing to do with them. Unbelievable.
But what the FBI is doing or not doing, okay, it's malpractice.
Yeah. Well,
okay, because they are getting, by their inactions, they're getting Americans killed. Yep. They're getting Americans killed here in the United States and abroad.
Because Ilya, ourselves, we're in touch with a lot of field agents that are very, very good people. But they have these orders from above, which is where a lot of this stuff is taking place.
That's right.
But Ilya, we are going to have you back for part 3 of the Boston bombing because we got this little tete-a-tete going on with Mr. Obama and Mr. Putin, and we want a real live Ruski from Siberia to give us a little insight into what the hell is going on with Putin and Obama. And I mean, it's looking like Putin is the leader that people want to follow, and
he's
Obama's
the big man on campus.
Yeah, he's the big man on campus.
Ilya, who's your money on if they had a fist fight?
Putin's left fist.
Yeah.
Putin's left pinky.
Give us your analysis. You know, you're briefing our team from a Soviet/Russian perspective on Putin and what he's doing to Obama and what this means to American national security, Israel national security.
Russia is a very macho culture, and it's a very sort of jaded culture. So people like Obama are not seen as extremely compelling. He's an idealist. He has these, leftist ideals that Russia has tried for, 70 years. And what they call a 70-year drinking binge in Russia. And they see Obama drunk on this idealism that destroyed the country. As far as Putin himself, he's an old KGB hand. These are the kind of people, the kind of idealists that were the first to be purged during the Stalin era by the KGB's predecessors. And so they don't have a lot of respect for these kinds of guys because they're the easiest to exterminate, the easiest to purge, sort of pathetic guys. So that's how Putin looks at him, I think.
So that's how he looks at him. Now, what's going to occur going forward from here with these two guys? Does Putin have any respect for this president?
Particularly, let's look at where Russian influence is dangerous for U.S. national interests right now.
Iran and Syria.
Okay, they're aligning themselves in all kinds of weird ways with the Chinese. So that's an economic threat to us, and it's a threat to us in the UN Security Council.
We got
with
1
the
minute.
votes. Iran, Syria, and now Putin going to Cairo.
Going to Cairo,
and the Saudis are going to bankroll the Egyptian military to purchase Russian-made armaments. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, you got 30 seconds to answer all that.
Yeah.
I think Russia's a major distraction and wants it to be that way to the United States. I mean, it's just basically going to stick a wrench in the works of anything we try to do out of her conscious purposes.
Right.
How
do they profit from it? What's the upside for them?
Well, in Syria, there's clear economic and military interests for Russia. With Iran as well, nuclear technology is pretty expensive, and Russia's very willing to sell it. With China, there's issues of both cooperation and also some conflict on the border that I think would be interesting for Russia to keep China close. It varies depending on the particular global situation.
Is Russia 100 million people? Is Russia a Western country or not? The people of Russia, do they have a Western Weltanschauung? Do they have a Judeo-Christian worldview?
This has been the lifelong question about
I took an entire college course on this. I mean, it is neither Western nor Eastern. It's its own sort of northern Byzantine civilization.
Yeah, it's like a split personality.
Well, one of our shows in the future, you're going to teach us that course in 1 hour on
let's
TrentoVision.
talk about the Slavophiles versus the Westerners.
But right now, we got to let you go. We appreciate it. We'll have you back.
Thank you.
You're doing great work.
Can you stay on for a minute after we close?
Yeah, stay on for a minute after we close the show. And give our best to Charles, the rest of you,
and the rest of the team.
Of your team. And folks, you can get in touch with Ilya and Charles. Peaceandtolerance.org. Peaceandtolerance.org.
Thank you.
Right now, we'll see you tomorrow. See you Wednesday. Bye, everybody. We're not off yet.
Goodbye.
We're not off yet.